From the 1011 Now streaming studio, this is 1011's Morning Pulse.
Sponsored by Murray Roofing.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Friday, January 17th. Our first story this morning just coming in. It's new. Lincoln Fire and Rescue, as well as police responding to a 3-car fire at an apartment complex early this morning, sometime after 3 a.m. This was the scene just outside the buildings at First and Adams. We know at least 2 vehicles were totaled, but no buildings were impacted. Investigators are working to determine the cause and the exact amount of damage. Your second story, north of Waverly, the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office is investigating a man's death after he fell through a sheet of plywood at a construction site. Deputies were called out there just after noon yesterday and found the 36-year-old. We know an autopsy has been scheduled as deputies look into how exactly he fell. Third story, a 24-year-old Grand Island woman who had been accused of trying to kill her sister has taken a plea deal this week. Instead of facing time in prison and her most serious charges dropped, she'll get 5 years of probation. According to court documents, Julissa Trevino stabbed her sister 8 times with a butcher knife in July of last year during an argument. She'd been looking at attempted first-degree murder and a slew of other felonies. As part of her probation, Trevino will not be allowed to own any weapons. Meanwhile, in Omaha, one person is lucky to be alive after a small plane they were piloting crashed near the Millard Airport. This happened just after 5 p.m. last night. Investigators say the 80-year-old pilot lost power, tried to steer it to safety, but was unable to do so. The plane ended up coming down in a wooded area not far from the Embassy Suites off I-80 in La Vista. The pilot was alert and responsive when deputies found them and taken to the hospital to get checked out. The FAA is in charge of the investigation. Wrapping things up with your final story, dozens of Lincoln kids will be able to dress a little warmer for the upcoming cold snap. It's all part of the annual Subaru Loves to Help program. Due to Subaru and the United Way work together to provide these winter supplies to kids with the Salvation Army's after-school program. All the gear comes from the national nonprofit Operation Warm. Dutu says they help put this on every year to give back to the community, and any extra supplies will be left at the Salvation Army. That is your Morning Pulse for this Friday morning, and we'll wrap things up with a look at your 7-day forecast. It's going to be cold this weekend.
You've been listening to 1011's Morning Pulse. Watch, listen, stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by Murray Roofing.